the Art and Industry of Business and Living podcast, discussing conscious choices around business, money, life and living, and creating a greater future for you and the planet. Hi everybody, welcome to the Art and Industry of Business and Living. You are with Simone Milasas, your host. I'm in Peregian Beach and happy to be home for a very short period of time, but yay, go Peregian Beach. And I am here with two lovely ladies. The main one that I've got here on the podcast today, so far, we'll see what happens, we'll see how it goes, is my wonderful, beautiful friend, I still call her my sister, Miss Sarah Watt.
Hello, thank you, Simone. I like being called the most important.
She's being very polite. She's being very like, hello.
I'm being the most important.
And she's not drinking tea, she's drinking wine.
I am, because I'm in Australia. So
that's right,
that's
yes.
what we do.
That's what we do.
On a Wednesday afternoon.
Exactly, doing a podcast. Well, I was doing the podcast with you and Miss Lauren Marie. Say hello.
Oh, I thought I was just the wine bitch.
You're way more than that.
She was going to be the one that was filling up our wine if we needed some. So, but you know what? I know what it's like. It's like she'll end up talking as well. So this is what we wanted to chat to you a little bit about. It's like these guys have been involved in Access Consciousness for, how long have you been in Access for, Sarah?
Well, as long as Brendan, actually. Like, I came along a couple of months after him.
Yeah, so I think that's like 9 years or something, 10 years, yeah. So, and we were just having a chat about some of the, what you would call the basic tools of access that you get in the bars class and you also get in the foundation class. Yeah. And that it's sort of like, I don't know, going deeper and more into those tools. So you were talking about interesting point of view. Tell us about the tool of interesting point of view. For someone who's never heard it before or someone who thinks they know what it is, tell us how you would explain interesting point of view.
Well, I've been both. I've been the person that had never heard it before and the person that thought they knew what it was and is now discovering that I didn't actually, or there's a lot more to it. So, I mean, when I first heard it, I was like, wow, that does make sense. And Gary suggests that you do interesting point of view for every point of view you have or that anyone else has, and kind of says, you know, do it for 3 months or do it for 6 months. For me, it's like at least a year.
So, but what is it? What do you do?
So basically every point of view you have about anything. So, you know, you're going through your day and something comes up, someone says something, you say something, you do something, and you have a point of view about it. And it's just this place of going, oh, interesting point of view, I have that point of view.
Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view.
Even just saying it now, I'm like, oh, it's like my whole body just goes, oh. It's this place where nothing ever is real or significant, and probably the significant part of things, like a lot of things are up in the world at the moment. There's a lot going on in Access where people take this place of making it very significant.
Yeah, actually, one of the things that Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, has been pretty sick lately, and he's had what you call shingles, but like really bad dose of it all across his back, across under his arm, up over his arm, on his chest. And a lot of things have changed. And, you know, we've had like, you know, Brandon Watt and myself, your brother, and I jumped up on stage for Facilitators in Rome, and then I helped out ABC Paris, and then he said, I can't go to San Francisco, you need to go and do the COP there. And now Dane here is going to be doing a 7-day on his own, the Wizards Arise, which is going to be awesome. So, you know, there's a lot of things like that are changing. And what I said to Gary too, I realised that as soon as his body started to get better, people were like, oh, great, Gary's body's getting better, so we can go back to, you know, what things were, rather than actually looking at the future that you would like to create. And I get the interesting point of view, you have this point of view, is a great tool to contribute to allowing the future to show up, rather than actually stepping into the place of what the projections, the expectations of what you think it has to be.
Yep. And even when someone gives you someone acknowledges you for something, right? So you get it. For me, that was like such a place of creation. If someone acknowledged me for something or acknowledged me for not something in a way, like that good, bad type thing, you're really good at this, you're really shit at this or bad at this, that would be my place to create something from. But what if all of that was still an interesting point of view? Even when it was like, oh my God, Sarah, you are so amazing at blah, blah, blah. Like, what if that was still, interesting point of view, they have that point of view.
Like, even that, Lauren Marie is currently taking photos of us. And you know what? This is my, second day after COP in San Francisco. I'm home with no makeup on. Like, what I would call, this, house dress. And it's like, I don't even know what my hair looks like or anything. But we're doing a podcast, so it doesn't matter. So I should just be like, interesting point of view.
Exactly.
I have this point of view that she's taking photos.
Exactly.
And interesting point of view that will they actually be released on the social media? Who knows?
But in the end, it is very true, because I used to have such a point of view about the photos that were out in the world about me too. And what if even a photo that you deem to be whatever, not Facebook worthy, what if that created something totally different for someone where they were like, oh my God, she actually
she looks like a grot. Has she showered today? No, I'm just kidding. I did shower, by the way.
Now we have to post the photos because everyone is going to go looking for them.
We need to hashtag this in some way. Hashtag iPod Facebook worthy or something.
Well, we actually have Joy of Business did we still have it running. It's a WhatsApp thread that you can still join. It's $25 for the year. But if you join now, you don't get a full year. You get the time you get. And I think we started in November. And it's you can go to accessjoybusiness.com/IPOV, which stands for Interesting Point of View. And you can join up. $25, and basically in that thread it's like we sort of contribute to each other on being interesting point of view in different areas. And I know there's mornings that I wake up and you're sort of like and it's like, okay, interesting point of view, I have this point of view, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. And what I notice is things seem to lighten up, and anywhere that I have a decision or a conclusion about something seems to dissipate.
And it's also helpful when looking at other people's points of view, because I remember hearing Gary say, a lot of people have points of view and don't even know where they came from. Like they've bought them from who knows where, their parents or wherever in their life they've picked them up from. And we're like, oh, you have that point of view, therefore that must be your point of view. But what if it actually wasn't? And it's only where we kind of lock that in place as being, again, that significant thing. What if even other people's points of view weren't real, and we could be that with other people, where it also opened up a space for them to be able to change their points of view? Yeah,
well, I mean, if you look at some, common topics like money, relationships, sex, and it's like, how many people have a point of view about sex of what it should be, and then they go, oh, I'm perverted because I like to do this. No, you just like to do that. But the only reason you've decided is perverted because someone's told you it's perverted, rather than actually being like, nope, that's fun for me. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Or money. It's like, point of view about money. How many of you have a point of view about money because that's what you grew up with? We weren't allowed to talk about money at the kitchen table. That was forbidden. And, now it's like, when I lived with, Nash, my stepson, and Brendan, it's like anytime we talked about money, if he asked a question, we gave him the information. It's like you don't hide it. It's like, money shouldn't be something that's hidden. And how many times have you picked up a point of view from somebody else around that rather than actually ask, if this was my reality with money, what would I choose? If this was my reality with relationships, what would I choose? If this was my reality with sex, what would I choose? If this was my reality with business, I mean, I'm sure you ladies have had the same thing where people have projected at you, do you ever have any time off? Do you ever get to go on holidays? Do you ever, have time for you? And it's like, interesting point of view, they have this point of view. I'm like, man, every day's a holiday and every day's a work day. It's like, you know what? I like to create. I like what we're doing in the world.
Yep.
So not buying into other people's points of view.
Yeah. Which frees you up and it frees them up as well. And it's almost like...
Well, it sometimes annoys them, but oh well, interesting point of view, they're annoyed.
I picture all of these points of view floating around in the universe, and it's like something comes up for people and it's almost like we grab onto something that matches our judgment of whatever it is that we're talking about. When in actual fact, if you were to almost challenge someone, even though that's not what it's about, where you can create space so much more as creative, but if you were to ask someone is that truly your point of view, or where does that come from? Most people I could just picture being like, I have no idea where I bought that from or where that comes from. Because for me personally, talking about money, sex, business, I bought a lot of that off my mum and off my family, and it does not at all match what I desire to create in this world.
No.
And when I really look at it, I'm like, nobody's points of view match what I desire to create in this world. So if I'm willing to be interesting point of view, I can get to a place where no points of view matter and I can choose anything.
And you said the word challenge, which has been something that's up for me recently.
Cool.
Yeah, because when Gary said you need to go to San Francisco and do the Choice of Possibilities class there, and there was a lot of people, like I was in the expectation for people to go, oh, Gary can't go, so, then I won't go. Mm-hmm. And that's not what occurred. No. It's like a lot of people they either went, oh my God, Gary can't go, but we get Simone, yay, or, they were so grateful, and the texts and the messages that I was receiving was so, I thought it was intimidating. And I said to Gary, am I intimidated by Choice of Possibility San Francisco? And he said, no, you're challenged.
Cool.
And I went, oh, I'm challenged by the gratitude that everybody had for me. Mm-hmm. So that, too, has to be an interesting point of view. Mm-hmm. Interesting point of view that they had this point of view. Mm-hmm. Interesting point of view that I thought that I couldn't receive that amount of gratitude, that amount of accolades, that amount of, desire to actually come to San Francisco. Mm-hmm. So it's about everything.
Yeah.
So how many times have you gone, oh, no, I can't do this, or that's not my gig, or you go to this definition, this conclusion that something is not possible, rather than what if you were challenged by the energy that came up and then asked, or then ran the process of interesting point of view, I have this point of view, interesting point of view, I have this point of view.
And so often for me, because I work on a lot of different teams that we call dazzles in access consciousness, and I'm like, but that's not my job. Like, I don't do that part of this dazzle. And right recently, like literally in the last week or so, I've been like, but what if that didn't matter? What if anything was my job and my responsibility? What if like having my awareness over every aspect of a class, not just the translation, which is quote unquote my job on this class. Like, what if I was willing to be aware of
I want to high five you right now.
Let's do it. Boom.
2 Aussies. Is that good? That was a bad high five, wasn't it? It was lame.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think that's brilliant, because that's what it should be. It should be about, like what's next, not define your job or define something by, that's like, I know we brought up sex as well. It's like, imagine the time you have sex and you're like, no, that's not my job. That's your job to do that. And it's like,
that's awesome.
Isn't it?
That is awesome.
Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. It's like, what if there was a level of contribution that was available with everything?
And it takes all of the expectation out of the equation as well. You never have to expect anyone else to do or be anything for you. You can look at anything that's in front of you and be like, okay, what can I be and do here? Whereas if you have a point of view or you're buying into anyone else's points of view, it totally puts that like blinder aspect on things, where in sex too, where it's like, well, it's not my job to encourage you to do that or to ask for that, you should know this, or that's your job. Or what if there were no rules and there were no and it was just like whatever.
My body's happy you're talking about that. Yeah, but what if your business could be happy about that? What if your relationship, your living, all of it? And it's like, we've just been showing photos of our horses.
Yeah.
And the horse I have in Texas, Capriccio, who's just adorable, and he challenges me. He's the most horse that I've ever ridden. He was a stallion, and he still thinks he's a stallion in some way.
Good. I like it.
Yeah, and so he's still, the guy who works at the ranch said to me, I was taking him to get washed or something, he said, don't forget he was a stallion for a long, long time. So in his head, he may not have the drive when he sees a mare, but he still acts like a stallion, like he's supposed to be the best horse on the thing. And I was like, okay, because he was being really full on even when I was washing him. And I'm like, okay, cool. So, but that sort of thing is like, okay, you'd be challenged by the energy. Mm-hmm. So everywhere that you've been challenged by an energy that shows up and immediately you've gone to less than, or I can't do that, or doubt. That's what distractor implants are. So all the distractor implants that you have, keeping you from being all that you could be, where you destroy and uncreate it, right, wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds, and start with this tool like we've been talking about, just saying Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. Put it on a loop. There's a great, I know there's many of them. I use audio loop, and sometimes it sounds like a crazy woman at night because I have so many clearings on, but I put it down really low so I can't hear myself being a crazy woman. But I usually wake up in the morning and I'm like, that's better. And it's like and put that on a loop. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view.
And what if even your points of view were points of view? Like for me, I'm like, but what is a point of view? Like, what if there was no definition there as well? What if everything that came up in your world, you could just be interesting point of view? I have this point of view.
Well, I heard Gary say once that one of your greatest potencies is your point of view. Because if you have a point of view that, I can't make more than $100,000 a year, guess what?
Boom.
Boom. Mic drop. You're not going to make any more than $100,000 a year. If you have a point of view that you can, be a multi-billionaire or you can earn more money than God, guess what? You're going to invite more money than God into your life.
And what else is possible from there too? Because that interesting point of view encompasses the monetary side of things. But what if it was like, even that was an interesting point of view too? And like, what else is possible beyond being a multi-billionaire too? Like, what else is possible with that and everything else that's on offer?
Yeah. And the funny thing is, when you say multi-billionaire, it's like, how many people have a judgment of what that is? A judgment of
me.
I mean, I know your brother used to say to me when I first started dating him and I had the convertible BMW, and he'd say to me at the beginning, can you put the roof up? When I'd pick him up, and I'd be like, sure. And he'd be like, I just don't like the wind and that. And he'd make up something and I'd go, okay. And then later, years later, like I've been in a relationship for like 5-6 years, and he said to me, do you know why I never wanted the roof down? And I said, why? And he said, because I didn't want to look like a rich wanker.
I knew it.
And then and then it was only like a couple of years ago he told me this, and then I come out of the supermarket and he's like sitting in the passenger seat, roof down, looks totally like a rich wanker. Like, and I was like, you do realise you look like a rich wanker now, right? And he was like, yeah, but now I don't care.
Yep.
Now he's an interesting point of view about it.
Exactly.
So how many times when you bring up, let's say, an amount of money, like being a multi-billionaire, you have all of these like judgments about it, and all these like what we call refined judgments that are so small that keep you from creating that, because you've decided that rich people aren't happy, that they're assholes, that people are going to take it from you, that, all these things that keep you from creating what it is you truly desire. Rather than, if you were just, interesting point of view, I have this point of view, what would you create? What would you ask for?
Yeah. Yeah, and even you saying him being in that place of sitting in the car, being that energy or willingness to receive and be rich wanker, it's like, it doesn't mean that's who you are either. It's just that place of being willing to receive and be that energy, and it's like this whole what next.
Well, that was his judgment of what it would be. But I can tell you, I'm pretty sure there was a lot of people weren't walking past going, rich wanker. I'm pretty sure they were walking past going, that's a cute guy.
Well, what can I do to have a
exactly
BMW with a cute guy in the passenger seat?
I dropped Nash off at school once. This was years ago, and I've dropped him off at school, had the roof down, and then I was coming back to my car, and this woman walked over to me and she said, you do realise you've just changed my son's life? And I went, why? And she was with her son, who was like 4, I think, at the time, so she was dropping another kid off. And the 4-year-old looked at his mum and went, Mum, I want one of them. And it was like, so this moment when he's 4 years old and he looks at the car and goes, that's what I want. Yeah, that. And it was like, how cool is that? So what if every time you think that you're creating this judgment, you can't stand the judgment, you're being challenged? What if you're actually being a huge inspiration to others to be something greater?
And it's like Dane talks about that story with his Ferrari as well, where I don't remember all the details, but similar sort of thing where he's in the street and this kid's like, oh my God, that's totally out of this child's reality of ever having. And Dane's like, you know what? I grew up in like total
In the ghetto.
Yeah. And when I was your age, this was my situation. And you know what? If you choose this, if you actually desire this, you can create anything.
And he ended up taking the kid for a ride too, and the kid was just so stoked. And it's like, so where can you be that inspiration, like to inspire others to be something greater from being interesting point of view, from living interesting point of view?
Yep. Which is totally being you as well. Like that place where when you have a point of view about something, for me, it's when I'm not being me. When I have a point of view or I have a judgment or an expectation or a projection about things, that's where I'm not being me. For me, being me is being interesting point of view. And from there, I do inspire the whole world. It's like, yeah,
You do. I adore you. You inspire me all the time.
Thank you.
So it's like interesting point of view. I have this point of view. So like I said, you can go sign up for that, $25 a month. So if you think that's a lot of money, interesting point of view, you have that point of view. And it's like, it's accessjoybusiness.com/IPOV. You sign up though, you get less than a year because we started in November and but hey, if you got it for 1 week, it's a gift.
1 day, $25.
Or you can just
God.
actually use the tool yourself. You don't need to sign up. That's your gig. And it's like, but if you just use this tool, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Lauren, you're so much more than a wine bitch. Did you want to add something?
I was just going to say, before I go get more wine, I actually named my mom Justin Ipov in my phone when I learned this tool.
Oh, I love that.
I literally did on contacts change from mom to Justin Ipov because every time she would call, I needed this tool and I needed to be reminded. Interesting point of view, she has this point of view, because she would ring me and just be like, did you know that when you're traveling here, Mercury is going to be in retrograde, and so you shouldn't travel because it's going to be bad and you're going to be late. Like, these are, I'm like, okay. By the way, you're bad and wrong for, like, choosing this, and, you shouldn't do that, and if you were really good, you would do that. And it was just like...
And I'm sure you're the only person that already has a mother
whose
that
mom
projects
does that
at them, yes.
Yeah, so I named her Justin Ipov, so when she would call, I'd be like, right, it's just an interesting point of view. So she would call and I would say, hi, Mom, and then she would start talking, and I would literally put the phone down and just go, interesting point of view, she has this point of view. Interesting point of view, she has this point of view. And I pick the phone up and go, yeah, wow, oh. Put the phone down and go, interesting point of view, she has this point of view.
Thank you, Mom, for caring.
Yeah. Until I got to a place where everything she was telling me was true was just an interesting point of view for me.
Yeah.
For her, it was still real. It was still true. But I didn't have to buy it.
Yeah.
I had it be interesting. And in me having that freedom to, like, okay, it's neither true or real or not. It just is a point of view. Allowed it to not be so solid, and then I could just do whatever I wanted. And she actually stopped doing that to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, is that when you actually are being interesting point of view, there's nowhere else for someone to go. Like, there's no fuel. Like, you're not, putting your dukes up ready to fight. There's no confrontation because you're just like, okay, interesting point of view, you have that point of view. So there's not really anywhere for someone to go. Yeah. So you actually invite them to some change as well, if they choose it. And not be invested in the outcome.
Well, I really didn't think she would change. It was more about me getting free of where I would buy it, but accidentally, bonus, as I got free of it. Actually, it's like doing tug of war, and you drop the end of your rope. The other person can't play tug of war anymore.
No.
Because they just fall over.
Nothing but tugging again.
Yeah. Are we talking about sex again? No. Okay.
Are we talking something else now?
Cool. So is there anything else you guys want to add to this? I love that we've been talking about interesting point of view the whole time. Interesting point of view.
Yeah. And I would just say it sounds simple, and what if it was? And also it's definitely a muscle.
Yes.
Something that you can build on and build on and build on, and see what shows up. Play with it. And like Lauren was saying, like, have no expectation if the other person changes or not. Do it because it's fun for you and it creates more for you. And I can also pretty much guarantee it's going to change a lot of other things as well. So,
yeah. So, like Sarah said, play with it.
Yep.
And Sarah Watt, you can find her also on... And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the sound of wine being poured. Interesting point of view. You have this point of view. I don't know what time you're listening to this, but it is evening time for us.
It's 1 o'clock.
It's 1 o'clock. Good Aussie girls. So please check out accessjoybusiness.com and find a JCF near you. There's some fabulous facilitators around the world. And, get to a class, get your bars run as well. Check out accessconsciousness.com. And if you like these podcasts, please 5-star it, do whatever you got to do, share it with your friends, etc. Because we would like to create a different world, a different possibility.
And even people knowing this stuff is available, what can it change for them?
That one tool. You never have to come to another class again. Truly, never. Yep. If you just practice this one tool, your life will change.
And the world will change too.
Exactly.
So thank you.
You're so welcome. Lauren, anything else you want to add as our ring-in? our waitress,
Yeah.
but so much more than that.
I think
Cool.
it's good.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.